moron! Hey, moron! Dude! Look at me! I'm the waterboard, dude!
Well, good morning, good people. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. I hope you all are having a great day. I just had to soak it in this morning and feel so much better. Eagle fans right now are in denial. They've got a huge game. Let's be clear here. The Cowboys, me and Philly 500, we talk a lot. I know people think that we're mortal enemies. We hate each other. We're cussing each other out. That if we were to actually see each other in public, that we'd start, fighting it out. But that's not the case, man. We actually had long conversations via text last night and stuff. And I kind of said, are you scared? Scared. He sends a picture of his kitty just passed out, sleep, all snuggled up. He's like, you got nothing to be scared of. Yeah, you say that on the outside. But see, if you lose to the Bears today, you're only 1.5 games ahead of the Cowboys. Now, that whole concept doesn't translate to Philly 500. He's like, you're full of shit. You're trying to take a game. Cowboys are always stealing. I don't understand how that means. I said, well, technically, we need to get 2 games to get past you. But that half game prevents it from being going to a tiebreaker scenario. We have 6.5 wins, 6.5. We're on the positive side for the first time all season on the wins. And we've won now 3 games in a row. Reminding Philly 500 that from the time that he got the googly glasses and talked about my quarterback, Dak Prescott has 8 TDs in 3 games, 8 TDs, 2 interceptions, and about 950 yards passing. So Philly, shout out to you for the glasses there. And that's that time of him saying that the Cowboys have get 1 win a month. We now have 3 in November. And he said, well, hey, December starts on Monday, so we're going to see you go downhill. Well, I tell you what, things look a little bit different right now, and the normal haters out there kind of changed their tune a little bit, and they're kind of having a little hard way to cope. But if you're an Eagle fan right now, you got to be looking at the Cowboys in the rearview mirror. Now, I still say, I know this still sounds crazy, and I've been talking about this for a couple of weeks now. There is a track for the Cowboys to make the playoffs. Am I saying the Cowboys are going to? No. But I told you when the season started that we ended up basically over the last 2 years wiping the slate clean on so many players. In the last 2 years, we got rid of Tyron Smith and Zach Martin, 2 standouts for over a decade on the Cowboys offensive line. We got rid of Zeke Elliott. We got rid of Tony Pollard. We got rid of Rico Dowdle. We ended up getting rid of Michael Gallup. We ended up getting rid of D-Law, Micah Parsons, Dorrance Armstrong, Leighton Vander Esch. And when you look at all of those players that have turned over, and then you look at it and say, we have an all-new coaching staff, and a week before the season, you get rid of your best defensive player. You know, I said if we win 9 games this year, with all that, then we had a great season. I said if we make the playoffs, even if we lose the first round, with all of that, it's an incredible season. I said I know what'll happen is the Cowboys will start playing good, and then they'll say they're a disappointment if we make the playoffs and we lose in the first round. I don't know that you are from where you started. To me, we're playing with house money right now. Vegas had us at an over and under of 7.5 games. We win one more game, we're right there exactly at their over and under. So be thankful for what we have and enjoy each and every week, because this team has coalesced. I want to play Chris Canty because, you know, Chris, former Cowboy and won a Super Bowl with the New York Giants, used to work with United Way. I've met Chris. In fact, I gave an autograph hat to Rashid of Chris Canty after the Super Bowl.
4-day span.
Okay, because Denver fans are now mad they didn't get the woo. 31-28. Dak Prescott, 27 of 39, 320, 2 touchdowns and an interception. The interception came very early. The interception happened. Kansas City scores. I turned to my brother-in-law and I said, "Oh, Kansas City's going to kill him." That was a good take.
Why would you say that, though? We just saw the Cowboys come from behind, down 21 to the Philadelphia Eagles 4 days ago.
Yeah, because I thought Kansas City was going to kill him.
But
That's
we
why I
believe
said
more in
it.
the Eagles than we do the Chiefs.
Yeah, I thought Kansas City was going to kill him yesterday, and I was dead wrong. 7 for 112 and a touchdown for CeeDee Lamb. George Pickens, 6 for 88 in this game. I think right now the best wide receiving core in the league, the way in which they're playing. Dallas did get some breaks late. You know, they had a fumble on a drive, 28-21, where Pickens fumbled the ball and Turpin recovered it to kick the field goal ultimately. And then on the final drive, up 3 points, Dallas getting 2 defensive pass interferences called, debatable on both, on Kansas City. What?
You thought those calls down the stretch were debatable?
I thought they were a little debatable.
They weren't.
Okay.
That was DPI, sir.
I thought they were a little
You
debatable.
can't hold the front shoulder of the receiver and not allow the guy to turn and catch the ball.
Well, any way you cut it, Dallas is now 6-5-1 on the year. They win 31-28 over the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Dallas Cowboys now have to be discussed as a potential playoff team. What do we think? Do we think the Dallas Cowboys are now a potential playoff team? Or are they too far behind, and this is all kind of an extended look at next year's version of the Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah, I still think it's a long shot for the Dallas Cowboys to make the playoffs because they're going to have to go the route of the wild card, and you have so many teams in the NFC that have a lot of wins already banked up. I mean, I'm just looking at the conference. You have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams that already have 8 wins, and we literally just kicked off week 13. I don't know that they're going to be able to get a wild card. They're going to have some help. Now, what I do think is that they can make it really interesting down the stretch, especially for a team like Detroit that's fighting for their playoff lives, because the Dallas Cowboys are the team in the NFC that nobody wants to play.
You got that shit right.
They can beat blocks. They are a physical outfit. They're going to give it to you up front. And you better be ready to match that level of philosophy, that level of intensity. And yesterday it was clear that the Chiefs' offensive line was not up for the task. They just weren't. They either got banged up or they tapped out, one of the two. And I'm not too sure it wasn't the latter. Because those dudes from Dallas are a problem. They find a way to hunt. They find a way to be able to get after the quarterback. After playing against the Raiders, playing against the Eagles, they had double-digit pressures in their pass rush. And yesterday was just more of the same. Quentin Williams, all of those guys up front being able to get after it. 14 pressures on Patrick Mahomes, 9 quarterback hits. So, yeah, even though you don't have the gaudy sack numbers, only 3 times you got Mahomes on the ground.
Only 3 times. You only sacked him 3 times.
Being able to force Mahomes to move around, seeing Mahomes gimping off the field with that ankle injury after they landed on it, all of those things have an accumulative effect on the version of the Kansas City Chiefs offense that you're going to see. And so, yeah, Dallas Cowboys, they might not make the playoffs, but they are the team in the NFC that is going to take their pound of flesh.
They've won 3 in a row. They're sitting there at CeeDee Lamb, a week after having those drops, took accountability for that, showed up yesterday. George Pickens has been amazing for them. Now this offense has a completely different dimension with George Pickens. The defense is coming along. You have a team that is having fun, obviously. They're clicking. They are motivated. They're starting to feel that momentum. You just beat the Eagles and the Chiefs in back-to-back weeks in a 4-game span, both teams that were represented in the Super Bowl last year. And if you look at their remaining schedule, now that you've beaten the Eagles and the Chiefs, do any of these teams seem daunting to you? The Lions, the Vikings, the Chargers, the Commanders, or the Giants?
I mean, the Lions should be.
After what you said.
I'm going to stop right there. Okay, so here's what we got right now. Let me pull this up for you guys. Here's where we sit. I've been talking about this I know people are like, why are you talking about it? Well, I talk about it because it's still a possibility. And as long as it's a possibility, you still talk about it. So let's go to the tape of the NFC. Here we go. Right now, we've got the Rams in the first spot. The Rams play the Carolina Panthers, who we actually passed last night. Now, if Carolina beats the Rams, then they jump back in front of us because they'll be a half a game ahead. But I'm betting on the Rams probably going to win that one. And I'm thinking that the Rams are going to win the conference and end up having home field advantage. The Eagles today with the Bears, they're pretty much a lock for the playoffs. I mean, let's be real here. They're going to make it one way or the other. The question will be will they limp into the playoffs or will they finally get themselves together and go? But that Bear game is interesting for a couple of reasons because I feel like the loser of that Bears game is going to end up crashing and burning. I'm being real with this. If the Eagles lose to the Bears today, all of that stuff, that soft underbelly that they've had, all of the talk that's been there is really going to come out hot and heavy. And all of a sudden, that really turns things south. And for the Bears, they have a tough road to hoe. And here's where Chris Canty and them don't really understand. I don't know if they don't do their research. I haven't heard anybody of the talking heads talking about looking at the schedule. But, I've been telling you guys, there are so many games that are going to be played in the NFC North. Just like yesterday, Green Bay and the Lions. The Lions right now look dead in the water. The Eagles broke them with that defensive front. Jared Goff looks like he's scared shitless right now and does not look like the same guy. Their offensive line can be had. And if the Cowboys, let's keep on going down the list. I'll get back to the Bears here in a second. The Bears, 8-3, currently are leading their division. They've got a tough road to hoe. Their schedule is a killer, with only one team that currently isn't in the playoff hunt. Tampa Bay or Carolina, one of the two will win the division out of default. Baker Mayfield, you don't know how he stands. I don't see two teams coming out of their division. The Seahawks, of course, right there behind the Rams in their division. They're right there on their heels. It's going to be tough for them to catch them, but, you never know. And then you got the Packers in the AFC North. Again, another team that's got a tough road to hoe as well, but they're playing well, and they play the Lions next week. San Francisco, that could be the one that has some problems. Now they play the Cleveland Browns. You got Myles Garrett. Maybe Sador steps up, but the 49ers do have an easier schedule. You have the Lions at 7-5. They're ahead of us right now. But if we win next week, we pass the Lions. And we currently have a 19% probability going into this weekend of making the playoffs. Mind you, we were at 2% 3 weeks ago. And then, of course, the Panthers, if they lose, they're dropping down to 11% chance. If they win, they've got a 22% chance. And again, they would pass us as far as the playoff standings. So we're going to be Ram fans. And then you got the Falcons, the Vikings, the Cardinals, and then the Commanders, the Saints. Eliminated. The Giants. The Giants are the only team in the NFC to be eliminated. Wow. That even the Commanders and Saints still have hope. How crazy is that? All right, so here's where it gets to be interesting. The Bears taking on the Eagles today. If they beat the Eagles today, they solidify themselves as the best team in that division. But here's what the Bears have to go through. They've got a gauntlet. You got the Eagles. You now got the Packers that are hot as hell. You got the Cleveland Browns. You got the Packers again. You got San Francisco. And then you got the Lions. You got the Packers twice. You got the 49ers. And you got the Lions. If you are the Packers, which Micah Parsons is doing incredible things right now, you've got the Bears next Sunday. You got the Broncos. That's going to be a tough one. You got the Bears. You got the Ravens. And you got the Vikings. That's not quite as bad. The Ravens last night did not look that good. We know the Vikings are awful, but you've got the Bears twice and the and the Broncos. Those are 3 games that you could lose some games in. And then you've got the Lions. The Lions have us next week. Then they have the Rams. Then they have the Steelers, they have the Vikings, and then they have the Bears. I think the Lions are set to be crashing and burning. That if we beat them next week, they're done. I think their season is out. And what you need then is you need either the Bears or San Francisco or the Green Bay Packers to fall back to earth. Or the Eagles to go on a lose streak. Who are we rooting for today, people? Who are we rooting for? If the Bears are who we think they are, and if they are really good, and they beat the Eagles, you want them to go on and smash everybody, because that'll knock those guys closer to you. What you want now is you want one team in the NFC North to just run away with it. You want either the Packers or the Bears to just beat up on everybody, because if the Packers end up beating up the Lions twice, okay, then that gets you a little bit closer to them. That's what you have to hope for, that somebody becomes the juggernaut in the NFC North. So before I get out of here, I got a lot of stuff to do. We've got, before the game today, I'm just going to kind of enjoy today. And we've got stuff to talk about, like now, do we look at Matt Eberflus a little bit differently? Is Dak Prescott getting back into the MVP conversation? Is this all just a feel-good story with the Cowboys, having a 3-game win streak, and they're going to go back to being the Dallas Cowboys and break our hearts? What will the Eagles do? The pressure is now put squarely on them.
Saw yesterday?
As I said, the Lions should be.
If you're the Dallas Cowboys.
Wrong one. Here we go.
As this game was.
What a great win on Thanksgiving Day. So what a Thanksgiving we have about this bunch. I don't think I've ever been in a more appreciative locker room than the game that they played today against a mighty special team.
My gas. Is there a greater visual, I ask you, than Jerry Jones standing there holding a turkey leg on the day after Thanksgiving, celebrating a win? But let's give credit to this group. RC, in the last 5 days, this team just beat both teams that were in the Super Bowl last year. They fell behind in both of the games. They showed resiliency. They show offensive explosiveness. They make enough big defensive plays, and they are back in it. What's the number one reason?
Well, the number one reason is Dak Prescott and his duo of wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. And right now, there's no trio in all of football who are playing at a higher level than these 3 men. And what we saw from Dak Prescott yesterday was understanding that at the start of a football game, he's going to work to CeeDee Lamb, and then late to finish, he can go to George Pickens. Here, you're going to see a one-on-one with Trent McDuffie on the sail route. He's going to get the football to him because he sees the man in the middle middle of the field. Now, this safety's playing too tight into the line of scrimmage, too tight into the quarters, and he's going to get a double move on the outside by CeeDee Lamb versus Trent McDuffie. And watch this layered throw by what we see from Dak Prescott, puts it in the back of the end zone. And here is where George Pickens starts to step up. We're going to see a blitz, and on the blitz, we know right away we could get the football to George Pickens, and the safety is leaning away from Pickens to CeeDee Lamb. He gets to the outside, and here's the play that we were talking about, jumping over the last man, almost landing it and getting into the end zone. And this is the play that seals the deal. You're going to get a 3-by-1, which means everyone else is opposite of George Pickens. And watch the way Javonte Williams pulls Jaden Hicks out of the throw area right to where George Pickens is going. And I feel like Brian Schottenheimer has done a great job of finding ways to get CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens the matchups you need to win. And that's what having a 1A and a 1B wide receiver do for you.
It's like basic football, but when you got great players, it's so hard to stop. That is a simple slant flat right there. That is a shoddy special all the way back from the Jet days. But you really have to I have to tip my cap to Jerry Jones. He should stick his chest out like a peacock, because they have lived up to the expectations. He said he was going to fix the defense. We knew this offense was Super Bowl caliber. Dak Prescott is playing the best football of his career. And if they get in the tournament, they're the most dangerous out potentially in the game. And listen, he outplayed Patrick Mahomes. We all thought that when Patrick Mahomes came down, like, oh, God, here they come. But Dak Prescott said, you know what? And Shotty said, I'm going to throw my way to victory. I'm not going to run the football, let them call their timeouts, punt, depend on my defense. I'm going to put the game in the hands of Dak Prescott. And on that drive, when they responded, it was all slants and throws by Dak Prescott, reading the defense and making the right plays.
Not only that, the confidence that he showed tonight, backed up in his own end zone, right? There were a couple of series there where they really good punting by the Chiefs, and the Cowboys keep taking over deep in their own territory. Nothing conservative about it. Stayed balanced, trusting in their quarterback who's playing out of his mind.
Can we talk about that play right there? Yeah. When Dak had 9 seconds to throw. You know, everybody want to talk about this rookie, and saying, oh, they took a guy from Alabama.
Tyler Booker.
Tyler Booker put a masterclass against Jalen Carter, and he just ragdolled one of the best defensive tackles in the game. Look at this: 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Like, get your hands off me. Listen, he over there yoking up one of the best players in the game. And listen, Jerry didn't miss on that. It wasn't a sexy pick, but man, he is playing his ass off.
They know how to draft offensive linemen. There's no doubt about it. Look, you talk about confidence. That's the word with Dak Prescott. I go back early in the season. I had a game of theirs on a Sunday. It was a crazy one against the Giants that went to overtime. And after the game, Dak's sitting there in his press conference, and somebody asked him a question, and he goes, I've been telling you guys, rehab went really well. Like, he came into this season feeling fantastic physically. He came into this season knowing he had another number 1 wide receiver in addition to CeeDee Lamb. So that confidence, and obviously they've built a run game, and Brian Schottenheimer calling plays at a high level, the two of them, obviously a good mix. So confidence. All they needed was a defense that could make us stop every now and then. And you see it. They get Mahomes out on the move a little bit and fluster him a little bit.
Brian Schottenheimer should be in every Coach of the Year conversation. And I know we're going to look at the sort of the career, the resumes, right? We're going to look at the records and say, well, maybe he's not doing what Vrabel doing, or he's not doing what McVay or McDonald is doing. No coach has shown more leadership than Brian Schottenheimer. No coach has had to deal with their best player being shipped off to the Green Bay Packers. No coach has had to deal with what they dealt with, the tragedy with Marshawn Nealon. And no man has led in the manner that Brian Schottenheimer has led. And the one thing that he controls is how this team shows up to every game. And then the thing that he controls in game is the X's and O's of the offense. And this offense has been Super Bowl caliber the entire year. The last 2 games, not only were they playing against the 2 teams that were in the Super Bowl, they were down to both of those teams in their own building. People says can't come back, a quarterback that can't compete, a quarterback that shrinks in the biggest moments. He's played at an MVP level, and Brian Schottenheimer deserves a ton of credit because people questioned his hire this offseason.
And everybody
that would be you guys.
The coach on
that would be
game
you guys.
Management and 4th down decisions and all that. But what happens behind the scenes is so important. And I think it's such a great point about how he has led this team. Going back to the offseason, I mean, talking to players there, like what makes him good. They talk about how he got people together in the offseason, not just the players, but with their families. Yeah. And the players will say, like, he wanted to make sure that everybody knew why each other is doing this. Yeah. Like, and so he's connected with them on a level that goes beyond what we see on Sunday. But I think obviously that manifests itself in the performance.
And you talk about.
All right, there we go.
Okay, so
we've already seen that. All right, good people. There you have it. The haters turning into fans right now. We'll see if we can keep this on going. We said in order to make the playoffs, we have zero margin for error. Some people said, well, we could lose to Kansas City and still make it. The Cowboys said, hold my beer. We're not going to lose to Kansas City. And we got a tough road to hoe. We've got another team that's fighting for its playoff lives next week. Next Thursday, we'll be in the spotlight again. And I'm going to still say this is exactly what the NFL wants. They want the Cowboys to come back. They've got Hard Knocks right now. Can you imagine how many people are going to watch Hard Knocks in season? Yeah. Have a good day, people. I'm Mark Holmes, and I appreciate you on this Victory Friday morning. Peace out.